Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. It all hugely helps out the channel, so thank you so much, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now, today's first story comes from Certain Demand 8445 from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, am I the arsehole for not taking my wife's side and siding with my parents? Background: my wife, 28 female, and I, 30 male, as well as my brother and his wife went to visit our parents as we haven't seen them in a while. My parents, 57, had a box of $300 ginseng in the fridge to be given as a gift for their close friend's wedding anniversary tomorrow. We know this because it came up in a conversation during lunch. They also told us to help ourselves to anything in the fridge but not to touch the ginseng for obvious reasons. The problem came when, a few hours later, my parents called us in a panic saying that they couldn't find the ginseng and if anyone saw it. I didn't take it, and at first I thought they just misplaced it somewhere. However, they insisted that they both agreed on not moving it out of the fridge drawer for that exact reason. All of us denied taking it, and the conversation got more heated when my father started yelling that someone must have taken it since it only went missing when we came to visit. All of us continued to deny taking it, with my wife being really quiet, and my father said that if it doesn't turn up soon, he'd have to have everyone's belongings checked. That was when my wife admitted that she took it. Apparently it was some popular brand that my in-laws mentioned and she wanted to give it to them, and she thought that no one would notice since it was in an inconspicuous place in the fridge. My mother-in-law later called and said my parents overreacted over such an inconsequential thing, and screamed at me that I was an arsehole for not defending my wife. The thing is, in my opinion, it wasn't a small thing. My wife literally stole hundreds of dollars from my parents and tried to lie her way out of it. While I agree that my parents shouldn't have started yelling and accusing us, I feel like my wife was in the wrong for taking the ginseng in the first place. The situation has caused a lot of friction and we haven't been speaking since coming home. Am I the arsehole? Now for me, why would you defend your wife in this? She literally stole an expensive item from your parents. It doesn't matter what it is. She stole something very expensive from your parents. Tried to hide it, lied about it, then your mother-in-law jumped on you about being such an inconsequential thing. Mother-in-law's just basically mad her daughter got caught for this, but Tom says, not the arsehole, your wife is a thief that literally stole something of high value from your parents. In quotes, she thought that no one would notice since it was an inconspicuous place in the fridge. She is lying. As you mentioned, this topic was brought up during lunch. It was an expensive gift, not supposed to be touched. In quotes, my mother-in-law later called and said my parents overreacted for such an inconsequential thing, and screamed at me that I was the arsehole for not defending my wife. And goes on to say, they are the arseholes for enabling this lying and stealing behavior. Protection Frequent says, not the arsehole, your wife literally stole a $300 item from your parents and her and her mother-in-law are mad she got caught. Honestly, if my husband did that, I'd be having a long think about continuing the marriage. Alien Abduction Fan replies to that and says, I wouldn't even need to think about it. Instant divorce. If she's willing to lie over a box of ginseng for such selfish reasons, she clearly doesn't love or respect me or my family, and I'll never be able to trust her about anything again. Natasha Overworld says, OP. Has other things gone missing while your wife was around? Because that's a kleptomanic move, if ever I saw one. Also, you don't need to side with criminals, even if you're married to them, and given who raised her, you can probably disregard the mother-in-law's opinions. Not the arsehole. And one more comment from Mai who says, not the arsehole for not defending your wife, but you are an arsehole for thinking that your parents had no right to be upset. This isn't a little thing. This is your wife thinking that she has more of a right to your parents' belongings than they do. How can you not see the ridiculousness of her/her parents' defensive attitudes? I know this is Am I the Arsehole and everyone expects the divorce time responses, but I can't see a reason to stay in a relationship with someone who so clearly has no respect for anyone else. Of course your in-laws are going to take her side. She was stealing it to give to them. Where do you think she learned that this behavior is acceptable? Your parents had every right to be upset and accuse the people who were present when the ginseng went missing. That's called logic, and they were effing right. In your situation, I'd really consider if this is a situation that you want to deal with for the rest of your life, because it's clear that neither your wife nor your in-laws learned a goddamn thing from this. Then OP does update the post and says, after making the post, I thought a lot more about the situation. I realized after reading the comments that this indeed wasn't a one-time situation. Things in our house like face creams, kitchen utensils, and even household tools would go missing, and I would just believe my wife's excuses. I feel like such an idiot for not realizing sooner, and honestly can't believe she took advantage of my trust like that. I guess a part of me refused to believe the truth, which was how she thought she could get away with it this time. When I brought up divorce, she immediately threatened to call the police to arrest me for domestic violence, when I had never laid a hand on her like that, so that I could never find a job again. So needless to say, my lawyer is being called, and this marriage will be over very soon. I've also apologized to my parents for this awful behavior, and they have accepted. To be honest, this is probably the best ending, and I'm kind of glad the situation happened before it went on any longer. I'm incredibly done with my hopefully soon ex-wife, and her side of the family, whose mother called me again yesterday, entirely remorseless, and called me a childish mummy's boy. Thank you everyone for the help in the comments. Also, to clarify a few things. From what I'm aware, mother-in-law was aware of my wife's actions, especially since she has done this sort of thing before, taking things from our house to give to them, and didn't see anything wrong with it since neither of them like my parents. And since it was going to be a short visit, like 2 hours tops, she thought no one was going to notice the missing ginseng before we left. And I'm assuming in the update where it says things in our house like face creams, kitchen utensils, and even household tools would go missing, I'm assuming that means like the family home rather than their own house, because that wouldn't really make sense that she's stealing her own items to give to her parents. But, you know, it wouldn't surprise me either, to be quite honest. But holy shit, that escalated in the second paragraph on that update when OP brought up divorce and she immediately threatened to call the police to have you arrested for domestic violence. I just think there's no coming back from that. Although I think there was little coming back from it with the stealing as well. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from Village Crazy Man. Does come with an update as well. And it's titled, Am I the Arsehole for Yelling at My Grandson? Hello, I, James, male 58, am in some hot water with my family and thought this would be a good place to get a neutral opinion. My grandson, I'll call him Henry, male 27, often comes with me to play golf. We've been doing this since he was a child, and it's a tradition that we hold at least twice a month. Recently, he started bringing his girlfriend, I'll call her Georgia, a 25-year-old girl. She doesn't usually play with us, which is fine. She often sits in the golf cart and reads or listens to music and gives us snacks and drinks when we ask. She's a nice girl who I approve of my grandson being with, but there's only one problem. Henry often talks down to her, belittling her intelligence and sometimes just making fun of her. It makes me uncomfortable and I can see it on her face that she doesn't like it, but she never says anything. We went to a party recently for one of my other grandkids and Georgia came. Once again, Henry started belittling her, calling her stupid and telling her not to fill her plate up too much. I pulled him aside and out of the room and told him that he needed to be nicer to Georgia. I admit I went off a bit and raised my voice, but I didn't realize how much I raised it. I was apparently yelling at him for about 10 minutes and then left. A lot of people heard and asked him what happened, but he just left with Georgia. The day after the party, his parents, my daughter, and her husband told me it was none of my business what's going on in Henry's relationship, and that I needed to apologize for trying to wedge myself in. They keep calling me asking for an apology, but I don't want to. Am I the arsehole? I think I might be because I embarrassed my grandson in front of our family. Edit. I admit I lied about our ages. I'm not comfortable putting our real ages here, but I didn't put it in the first draft of this post, it was deleted, so I picked some random numbers. I'm sorry for any confusion this caused anyone. I didn't think it was a big deal. Nah, sod that shit, you did absolutely the right thing in that situation and it was your business because he's doing it in front of you and good on you for calling that out. But Happy Platypus says, not the arsehole. I'm trying to wrap my head around a 58-year-old with a 27-year-old grandson, but you did nothing wrong. I hope his girlfriend noticed you standing up for her and appreciated it. It's kind of weird your family is not supporting you but your mean grandson instead. Are they not aware of how mean he is to her? But regardless, you are being a good grandpa trying to help your grandson be a better person. Cheap Line says not the arsehole, nothing wrong with jumping someone's shit when they're out of line. You pulled him aside. If he has a problem, maybe he should treat others better. And So It Goes replies to that and says, as I heard my grandfather say to my uncle, who was being a beast to his wife in front of everyone, do you really think that watching you show your ass was how I planned to spend my day? Think again. Go and sit in the corner and correct yourself. Learn how to act. I am not the one. And So It Goes continues saying, oh my god, There was nowhere to run away to and scream with laughter since the whole family seemed to be there for the floor show. Glitter Voldemort says not the arsehole in quotes. It was none of my business what's going on in Henry's relationship, and then says he made it your business when he continually mistreated his girlfriend in front of you. If he's comfortable treating her like that in public, I don't even want to think about how he treats her in private. Do not apologize. The only people who need to apologize are A. Henry to his girlfriend for treating her like a punching bag, and B. Henry's parents for burying their heads in the sand and pretending not to see it. They failed as parents. DLC says obviously he needed to be embarrassed. He doesn't respect his girlfriend, period. Maybe you should start talking to him exactly like he talks to her, then he might understand. These people who keep calling you to apologize probably haven't heard Henry speaking so derogatory to his girlfriend. I don't even know this girl, but she clearly deserves better. Not the arsehole, and only one person needs to apologize, and it's certainly not you. Good luck. And one more comment from Buggle Trouble, who says not the arsehole, you did a good job as his grandfather and imparted a little wisdom onto him. And if he's smart, he'll understand why it got you heated. You did it for a good reason, and even if he doesn't absorb it, the nice girl he's dating may realize he's not being so nice to her. So, OP updated a week later and says, hello everyone, James here again. I want to say thank you for all the advice on what to do. Quite a bit has happened since this all happened, and I think you'd all be interested. I spoke to Henry and apologized for yelling at him. I realized that I'd never raised my voice at him before this incident, so I understood why he was so shaken up about it. But I also explained that I wasn't sorry for what I said and that he needs to be nicer to Georgia. But apparently he won't have that chance. Georgia left him, which is unfortunate because I was looking forward to having her as a granddaughter one day. But I suppose this is the best outcome for her. Me and her had lunch earlier this week and she thanked me for standing up for her. After speaking with my grandson and his parents, I realized something. He may not have learned that behavior from his father, but from his mother. I thought I had raised her better than that, but she talks down to her own husband and makes jabs at him. I'm not sure how I had not noticed it before, but I guess it never really occurred to me that abuse can be more than hitting or could be from a woman. But I'm educating myself about it. But I talked to her about that and she's convinced that it's okay. I explained to her that it's not and Henry is learning from her. I haven't gotten through to her yet, but I will keep trying. Thank you for all the advice and kind words. I'd also like to apologize again for the whole ages debacle. I'm a little paranoid about putting my age or any personal information online or on a website, so I usually lie. When I tried to leave out the ages before, the post was deleted, so I just made something up. I guess I should have picked better and more realistic ages. Many comments on this one, just picking up on the way OP introduces themselves in the second update that they go, hello, James here again. I thought it was pretty cute, but what do you guys make of this situation? How would you have handled it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's have another story. And this next story comes from Ticket Girl 20, who says, am I the arsehole for giving away my friend's ticket to the Taylor Swift concert and leaving without her? So, a long time ago, I, 20 female, bought 4 tickets to the Taylor Swift concert in our city that happened this past weekend. It was going to be me, Marissa, Haley, and Aiden. We're all besties from high school. Everyone paid me for the tickets and planned accordingly. We were planning on getting there pretty early to hang out for a bit. Everyone knew this plan for a long time, but for some reason Marissa couldn't/didn't get off work. She is a server at a breakfast restaurant and normally doesn't work too late. This was all on Saturday, by the way. I also have an older sister who lives in this city who really wanted to go but couldn't. She begged me to be a backup in case anything happened. We don't live very close to the city, like an hour drive, sometimes longer, so we planned on leaving at 2 p.m. At around 1, I started texting everyone to get ready because I had to start picking people up. Marissa told us she should get off around 12, but she didn't say anything when I texted the group. I texted her individually and called her. No response. I started picking up everyone and she was the last person to get. I kept calling and we waited outside her house for a bit. I said fuck it, so I went to the door. Her parent, I assume, answered and said Marissa has not come home yet. Together we decided to leave without her. We got 20 minutes into the drive when all our phones started blowing up. It was Marissa apologizing and saying there was issues at work and she had to stay, but she's speeding home and will be ready in 15 minutes. It was like 2:30 at this point. Aiden called her and explained what had happened, and I could hear her screaming her head off at him. He eventually hung up on her. My sister met us there and Zelled, I think, the money to Marissa in the exact amount she paid me. We had a blast. I'm asking if I was the arsehole because none of us have heard from Marissa since, even after apologizing. First comment says, "You're the arsehole. You killed a friendship for 30 minutes. You still arrived a few hours early for the show. You wanted your sister to go instead of your friend. Shame on you." Laura Ash says, "Wow, you're the arsehole, and I would never want to be friends with you or your group. She paid for her ticket. You couldn't have transferred her ticket to her. Most tickets are e-tickets nowadays anyway. And said, hey, sorry, we left, but here's your ticket. Meet us there." That's such a shitty thing to do. Especially for a Taylor Swift show when you know tickets are impossible to find, and it will probably be a couple of years before she tours again. I don't blame Marissa for cutting all of you off completely. Suspicious Spite says, "You're the arsehole. So the arsehole. It was not your ticket. She paid for it. It was hers. You had no right. How long did you wait to let your sister steal her ticket? Why couldn't she be given the option to meet you there? Did you even try to figure out how to get her there? Stop by her work with clothes so she could change on the way. Give one single damn about her. Of course not, because you wanted your sister to go more. What a horrible friend all of you are." And one more comment from Mama Pie London, who says, "Funny how you're pick and choosing which questions to answer in the comments. It's as if you know that answering would make you look like an even bigger asshole. So according to your post in comments, you were supposed to pick Marissa up at 2 p.m. She called you at 2:30 p.m. when you had already given your sister the ticket, 30 minutes earlier. You gave her ticket away at 2 p.m, the time you were supposed to collect her. There was no wait time. You gave her ticket away when she hadn't even been 10 minutes late. When you knew you were going to arrive 4 hours before the doors even opened, it wasn't yours to sell, and then you sold it for the face price. If Marissa couldn't go, it was her right to sell it at the best possible price. You scammed her out of hundreds of dollars. So yes, you stole her property and scammed her. You're the arsehole. You haven't lost your friendship. You sold it out. You willingly trashed it." Now, I'm going to turn this story to you guys. What would you do in this situation? What if someone sold your ticket like that? How would you feel? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's have one more cheeky story, shall we? From Maleficent Bowl 7496, who says, "Am I the arsehole for getting a dog, even though it means my family cannot stay at my house? My younger brother is very allergic to dogs. I love them. I have wanted one all my life, but we couldn't have one because it would be bad for him. I never held this against him. I understood that it was a medical thing and that it would be stupid to risk his health just for me to get a dog. However, I've recently purchased my own home in a different state than my family, and I got myself a dog. His name is Bradford, and he is a husky, my dream dog. I posted pictures of Bradley on my socials and my parents saw them. They said it was irresponsible of me to get a dog because of my brother. I was like, what the fuck? I literally live hundreds of miles away from them. Our next door neighbor had dogs when I was growing up. It's not like he will affect my brother at all. They said that they were planning on asking if my brother could stay with me while he attended college. News to me. I said it probably would have been a good idea to let me know they were planning on that since they do not own my home. They said that they'd help me out through school, hoping I would help them out when it was my brother's turn. Once again, this was news to me. They said I needed to get rid of Bradley. I told them to invoice me for their help and not bother me again. They keep trying to contact me, but I'm not interested in hearing it. I waited 26 years to get a dog, and he's not going anywhere. They think I'm being an asshole for prioritizing my dog over my brother, and for how offhandy I told him to bill me. Am I the arsehole? All I'm going to say on this one is absolutely not the arsehole. You and Bradley just enjoy your best lives and don't put up with their bullshit. Weekend Breakfast says, not the arsehole. Your parents sound controlling and your brother isn't your responsibility. He is theirs. And you definitely don't owe them anything for the help they chose to give you as your parents. I'm so glad you have Bradley. Also, congratulations on home ownership. In this market, that's pretty amazing. Sitting Quiet says, not the arsehole. This is the reason we move out. To buy the things we couldn't under our parents' roof. You finally got the opportunity to have a dog and took it. Good for you. Dog tax, please. Tell your parents that they can support your brothers post-secondary the way they supported yours. That's their responsibility, not yours. Thank them for whatever they did and move on. Your home is not there to dictate what goes, who stays, and when. To them. Apparently that's how you spell blowing a raspberry, PBTH. Never heard of that before. Satisfactory Loaf says, not the arsehole. Pretty inconsiderate of them to make a plan based on your time, resources, and consent without actually gaining your consent. Your home, your family, your choice. And one more comment from Narrow Natural 7937 who says, not the arsehole. You've always wanted a dog and now you can have one. Your parents never said anything to you about their plans. but those were their plans, not yours. It's a shame about your brother's allergies. I grew up with a brother who was allergic to everything with hair. My mum always told me that I could have a whole farm when I grew up and every kind of animal I wanted. Welp, I gave birth to a child who has allergies just like my brother. I ended up rehoming a wonderful 8-year-old dog to my in-laws because my son was so allergic. I still cry about that sometimes. I feel for you. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, if you have a moment of your time. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time, not just towards me, but towards one another down below in the comments is always amazing. I'm just always so shocked and just so thankful to see it every single day. You are absolutely amazing. Please don't forget that, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love to you. Your cheeky so-and-so.